important judgment on the sedition law, taking note of the centre's request to relook at provisions of the law. But what was astonishing is the blatant attempt at taking credit that followed. The Congress in particular said that this is an election promise by them, and that's why this order has come out. Other than the fact that the law hasn't exactly been stayed, this claim is actually the biggest irony of the day. Because far from going into the past, even as we speak, a couple from Maharashtra has been booked under this same law, the sedition law, by the Maharashtra government, of which the Congress is a part. Naturally, today that couple, the Ranas, are crying vindication and questioning the Aghadi's hypocrisy.
I have one big question to Uddhav Thackeray. The sedition comes when you talk against some other community. If I was supposed to chant Hanuman Chalisa who doesn't believe in it, I was supposed to chant in front of somebody's house who actually speaks about this, and I was supposed to chant that Hanuman Chalisa in front of his house. Where their hatred comes? It is very clear he doesn't believe in that. Because of that only the government has against that FIR came on against me and MLA. So I think he's Hindu Virodhi Uddhav Thackeray. He doesn't believe in Hanuman Chalisa. That was very clear, and I'm very happy that this government who is there in central today, the Prime Minister, the Home Minister and the Law Minister has taken initiative and taken a step ahead.
But of course, while let facts come in the way of a good credit-grabbing exercise, that's why, led by Rahul Gandhi, today the Congress claimed that the judgment is a win for them. They even reminded everyone that it was an election promise. Shashi Tharoor congratulated his friend Kapil Sibal for putting the law on ice, and Rahul Gandhi himself thundered that speaking the truth is Desh Bhakti, not Desh Droh. Rousing words indeed. Except when Navneet Rana spoke truth to power, she wasn't being slapped on the back for Desh Bhakti. Look at what the Maharashtra government did instead. First, of course, they slapped her with sedition. Then the BMC served her a notice yesterday saying, you have illegal construction at your house, reply in 7 days, or else face the bulldozer. And third, and this will shock you, the hospital that treated Navneet Rana for spondylosis has now been served a notice by the Maharashtra government for breach of privacy. Is this not hypocrisy of the most acute kind, where the same party talks of freedom of speech and its virtues, projecting itself as a messiah of freedom, and at the same time unleashing a no-holds-barred witch hunt against that very free speech when in government? All right, joining us on the debate, RP Singh, National Spokesperson of the BJP, Praful Ketkar, Editor of Organizer, Advocate Chandra Shekhar Jha, Chief President of Shiv Sena, Brijmohan Srivastav, Spokesperson of NCP, and Tehsing Poonawala continues with us. I want to start by asking you, Advocate Chandra Shekhar Jha, how can you say that you are part of a government which stands for free speech when you are literally hunting down a person, booking them for sedition?
See, we never intended to hunt down anyone. It was basically done with an intention to cause incite communal violence in the state.
How?
And everybody knows that because BJP is too supporting them. So in that case also, they were trying to incite communal violence in the state. That was the reason
does Shiv Sena believe in free speech, yes or no?
Was used.
Does Shiv Sena believe in free speech? Does Shiv Sena believe in free speech?
But that free speech has to be with a reasonable restriction.
Today the Congress is saying that the staying of the sedition law is a setback, it's a setback to you because you use the sedition law. The most recent usage is by you.
See, it is not a setback. You have to see the judgment also. The judgment says that all the cases have to be stayed, but eventually the cases which have been registered will have to continue before the courts. So there is no setback. We don't go into all those.
But you believe in free speech.
In fact,
you believe in free speech so much that you've now gone after a hospital.
Yes,
the Leelavati Hospital.
Believe in free speech does not say that I recite Hanuman Chalisa before a CM and I incite communal violence.
Do you know, sir? Do you know, sir, that in fact, very specifically, now it has been said by the government of India that not only should the interpretation of the Honorable High Court in the judgment of Vinod Dua versus Union of India be followed scrupulously, but they've even said that the FIR should be registered only if an officer not below the rank of Superintendent of Police is satisfied and records his satisfaction in writing that the offence alleges alleged involves section 124A. You, in booking this couple, have violated everything that is in the judgment of Vinod Dua. Everything. The only thing that judgment says is
the law of sedition before today was different.
For unrest against the state. There should be no call for violence. You have picked up a couple, two people, and booked them for sedition.
The judgment has come today. Yes, the judgment has come today. The judgment is applicable from today. Now, before this, all the FIRs which have been registered has already been kept in abeyance. Now, let the Supreme Court, Honorable Supreme Court, decide on all these issues. Why we need to do debate on this now?
We need to do a debate because you cannot have this kind of an approach where you pretend that you're all for free speech on the one hand, whereas with the other face, you are going after people with a vengeance. With a vengeance, Praful Ketkar. I mean, it's one thing to slap people with sedition. Then you say we are going to act against your house.
They were doing the offense.
But the most shocking is to go after a hospital. Now a hospital has been served notice because they treated Navneet Rana. Why? Apparently for breach of privacy. Because she took her own picture. It's a breach of her privacy. Praful Ketkar.
Whether that notice says that it was issued due to Navneet Rana's thing or something else.
Sir, no, it is for Navneet Rana only. You may not be aware. Let me quote to you why that notice is issued. Shiv Sena leader Manisha Kayande has filed a police complaint against Lilavati Hospital, raising questions on the hospital security, saying, how come Navneet Rana's treatment picture came out while an MRI was being done? Her MRI, her picture, she is putting it out and Lilavati Hospital has been given a notice. I'm sorry, sir, but if anyone believes that this is being done legally, and it's not a witch hunt. Even you are smiling, sir. Even you can't take it sincerely. Anyhow, Praful Ketkar.
This cannot be termed as witch hunt.
Thank you, Padmaja.
I should be very clear on this aspect. The law of sedition.
Okay, so just a second. Let Praful Ketkar come in. Yes, Mr. Ketkar.
See, if the logic that Shiv Sena spokesperson is giving is right, then the first person who would have faced maximum cases on this ground perhaps would have been late Balasaheb Thackeray. And he used to give speeches, I mean, just, what he is calling as disharmony or violence, communal violence. But see, the Sedition Act clearly says, and the problematic area here is, and we should be very clear about it, because, and I'm speaking this out of conviction, Padmaja, simply because in 1949, when the Constitution was framed, there was a debate on this. And even before Constitution came into existence, the weekly magazine that I edit today, Organizer, was put on censorship by the then Nehru government. And in 1951, when the first amendment was introduced, if you see the debate, in Constituent Assembly, it was K. Munshi, and in the Parliament, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar and Shyama Prasad Mukherjee. These were two people who vehemently opposed this amendment and the so-called adding few elements to reasonable restrictions. What is the problem area? The problem area is disloyalty and disaffection towards the government. Okay. And that is problematic. See, no political party can stay away from this simply because in Kerala, left parties have come up with the statement, but they should understand that in Kerala itself there are 25 cases pending. So they can't, wash away their hands. The issue here is we should draw a clear-cut line in the post-independent India, what is waging a war against state and what is criticizing government. Simple and straight.
And
that's why we need to re-examine and relook at it.
That line, sir, seems to be very, very blurred for the Maharashtra government. Mr. Brijmohan Srivastav.
Yeah, Padmaja ji.
ये जो line है between affecting disaffection against the state and speaking your mind seems to be very blurred for your government.
No, not like that, madam. It's very clear when Behan Navneet Rana given a statement that she will have an Hanuman Chalisa at the residence of the Honorable Chief Minister of Maharashtra. At that time, the Amravati police has given a notice to her under the Maharashtra Police Act Section 135 that whenever you leave the Amravati, please inform the police. So we can take care of your statement as well as take care of the Honorable Chief Minister of the Maharashtra. But without informing the Amravati police, both Mr. and Mrs. Navneet Rana left the Amravati and they reached silently, very secretly to in the Mumbai.
I am talking simply
this
of the way you are going.
On
the way you are going after this couple. मैं आपसे सिंपल सवाल पूछ रही हूँ. आप कह रहे हैं, आज राहुल गांधी जी बोल रहे हैं कि सच बोलना राष्ट्र प्रेम है, राष्ट्र द्रोह नहीं, डरो मत. और आप उल्टी तरफ नवनीत राणा को डराए जा रहे हैं. कभी उनको डरा रहे हैं, कभी देशद्रोह लगा रहे हैं, कभी उनके ऊपर आप नोटिस दे रहे हैं बीएमसी का, अब आप जाके अस्पताल के पीछे पड़ गए हैं. ये क्या है?
देखिए, मैं अस्पताल वाली बात तो चूंकि अभी आपसे मुझे सुनने को मिली, मुझे नहीं मालूम इसके अंदर की बात क्या है.
मैं आपको बताती हूँ ना.
दो बातें बहुत इस पे साफ हैं.
अभी बताती हूँ आपको. मैं आपको बताती हूँ. राहुल कनाल जो कि शिवसेना के यूथ विंग युवा सेना के मेंबर हैं, उन्होंने एक चिट्ठी लिखी है महाराष्ट्र मेडिकल काउंसिल को. पहले लीलावती अस्पताल को नोटिस दिया, फिर महाराष्ट्र मेडिकल काउंसिल को चिट्ठी लिख दी, कहा कि लीलावती अस्पताल के खिलाफ भी आप एक्शन लीजिए क्योंकि उन्होंने एक फोटो रिलीज किया नवनीत राणा की. ये तो मतलब देयर इज नो पॉसिबल एक्सप्लेनेशन फॉर दिस.
देखिए,
आप लोगों को डराते हैं और दूसरी तरफ आप फ्री स्पीच के मसीहा बनते हैं.
आप मेरी बात मैं बोलूं अब?
हाँ,
आपने अभी इसके पहले ये कहा कि वहां महाराष्ट्र की सरकार ये काम कर रही है और अभी आपने अपने स्टेटमेंट को बदला. आपने कहा यूथ विंग जो है शिवसेना का, उसकी किसी यूथ वर्कर ने इस बात को कहा है. खत लिखना और सरकार का एक्शन दो अलग अलग चीजें हैं. आज मैं राष्ट्रवादी कांग्रेस पार्टी का एक प्रवक्ता होने के नाते अगर मैं कोई बात कहता हूं तो मेरी पार्टी की तरफ से कहता हूं. इट इज नॉट एन गवर्नमेंट वर्जन. आपने लेकिन इसके पहले यह कोट कर दिया कि महाराष्ट्र सरकार उनके पीछे पड़ी है. ये शिवसेना के अगर एक कार्यकर्ता ने कोई खत लिखा है तो इस पर सरकार कार्रवाई करेगी, देख लेगी, उस पर क्या परेशानी है. मेरे को नहीं लगता कि इस पर इतना टूल देने की जरूरत है. पर सबसे जरूरी बात यह है, इसमें सबसे जरूरी बात यह है कि इस मुल्क के जो लॉ मेकर हैं,
आपके धमकी भरी चिट्ठी के बाद अब लीलावती अस्पताल ने भी नवनीत राणा के ऊपर केस कर दिया है. एनीहाउ, बट ये कोई विचंट नहीं है. फ्री स्पीच के सपोर्टर है कांग्रेस, शिवसेना और एनसीपी. आरपी सिंह, एक सेकंड, आरपी सिंह, सब लोग फ्री स्पीच के सपोर्टर हैं. आरपी सिंह, एक सेकंड
आप मेरी बात तो सुन लीजिए. इसका मुद्दा यह है पद्मजा जी, सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट मुद्दा यह है कि जो लॉ मेकर है वो कानून को तोड़ रहे हैं. आप इसको एक ऑर्डिनरी सिटीजन और एक मेंबर ऑफ पार्लियामेंट से कंपेयर नहीं कर सकती हैं.
अच्छा, ठीक है, वो कानून तोड़ रहे हैं, वो देशद्रोह कर रहे हैं, आप फ्री स्पीच को बढ़ावा दे रहे हैं. आरपी सिंह,
मैंने ये नहीं कहा. जो अगर लॉ मेकर कानून तोड़ रहे हैं तो उनके खिलाफ कार्रवाई होना चाहिए कि
सर कानून का तो आप मिसयूज कर रहे हैं ना. एक सेकंड, आरपी सिंह को बोलने तो दीजिए. आप अगर उनको कानून तोड़ने की बात बोल रहे हैं तो. हाँ, आरपी सिंह,
ये मिसयूज तो अभी कोर्ट पे तय होगा ना. आपके और मेरे कहने से तो तय नहीं हो सकता.
एक सेकंड, आरपी सिंह.
सर मुझे बोलने दीजिए, कृपा होगी बड़ी सर. जस्ट इंटेंट टू रिसाइट हनुमान चालीसा leads to sedition. Shocking. And this is a clear misuse of the law. They say it would have created a communal disharmony. This section 153A under which you could have booked them. Why 124A? There are other sections which you could have booked them. The genesis of Congress is that way. That emergency, you remember? All people were sent behind bar. Rajiv Gandhi, I was part of that agitation which agitated against the postal bill in 1987. How the newspaper like Indian Express was throttled by Rajiv Gandhi brigade. Not only that, even Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi, how many people were slapped with the sedition in that nuclear plant case? Almost 9,000 people were slapped with the sedition law on the nuclear plant agitation.
Tehseen Poonawala. And today when the Congress talks about a major victory and putting on ice of course, it chooses to forget that sedition, when the Nehru government in 1951 brought in the first amendment under Article 19(1)(a) and puts in reasonable restriction on the right to free speech, and then in 74, Indira Ji made section 124(a) a cognizable offence that meant that the police could make arrests without a warrant. Tehseen Poonawalla.
Yeah.
And so the legacy continues now in Maharashtra.
You're absolutely right about that. However, the part that nobody on your panel has spoken about, especially those who are my opponents or on the other side of the debate, have said that it's only the Congress that in 2019 promised to do away with this law. And so if something was wrong or something was not correct for that time or correct for that time, today it was the Congress that took the lead. Now, you may then say that why did they apply it in Rajasthan or in Maharashtra?
But sir, you used it in 2022. In 2019, you promised it in a manifesto. In 2022, you used it. This is like me running an anti-alcohol campaign and then also running a bar.
I'm answering your question. I knew that was your question, so let me answer it. The fact of the matter is the Congress promised to remove this law. Now, yes, it's been used after that, but 90% of that usage of the law has happened by BJP in BJP-run states. Now, here is the proof of the pudding, because the proof of the pudding maybe is in the eating. Since this evening, including on Times Now, I have been there with colleagues from the BJP or people from the BJP who've been complimenting and congratulating Mr. Modi ji for saying that Modi ji is against sedition, Congress was for this, and today there's a blanket ban. And just now, Times Now broke the story which you yourself said that the Modi government itself has said no, there will be no blanket ban on sedition. So Mr. Modi himself is confused. The Congress absolutely and the opposition knows that this law has to go off the statute.
Sir, here is the thing. Here is the thing. Is the law an anachronism in this day and age? Yes. Should in an ideal world it be done away with? Yes. But can any party, least of all the Congress, sit here and say that we are the ones who always stood for free speech and we are the ones who have brought about the change?
Yes,
and the answer is an emphatic no. And the answer to that also is two words, Navneet Rana. I'm going to leave it at that because I'm unfortunately completely out of time. Let's see what happens when the rethink results on sedition come out. Thanks so much.